everybody, this is Michelle and I'm here with a tutorial for you today. I am with Country Craft Creations and this is a design team project that I'm doing using Christmas Cheer, which is one of the exclusive papers by Country Craft Creations. And I am going to be sharing with you my accordion pocket explosion box that I had made and shared and intended it to be like a December daily kind of thing, like a really super simple December daily kind of thing. And so this is going to be kind of a quick tutorial. I've done a lot of explosion boxes using my explosion board. I love this thing. So we're going to go through this fairly quickly and simply. I have most of it already created. I'm going to share with you kind of the highlights on how to make this. It's only going to require one box and some pockets that we're going to make that are super simple, a lid, and some inserts. So let's go ahead and get started. Christmas Cheer by Country Craft Creations. So we're going to create a box. We're going to create just one box. We're going to need a piece of cardstock that's 12 by 12. And the first thing you're going to do is get your explosion board and you're going to put it in your explosion board and you're going to score on the extra large line. So we're going to make the biggest box there is, and you're going to score on all four sides. Okay, so all the way around. That's what the blue dashes are representing. And then once you get the scores on all four sides, then you're going to do the diagonals. Okay, so this is kind of the basic simple box. And you're going to do that with a piece of 12 by 12. Now, I used a piece of black. I'm going to show you that in a second. The Artisan cardstock. It's really awesome. So then what you're going to do, we're going to turn this over because I'm going to show you what to do. So the next thing you're going to do is cut off the corners. So all four corners, how we cut those off, we're just going to go ahead and whack those off. And then once you do that, we're going to create some new scores. And I'm going to show you how to do that. It's really absolutely pretty simple. So once you cut off, well, actually, let's do it this way. Okay, so step one, score on all four lines on the extra large line, and then you're going to score our diagonals because we will need the center diagonals. Okay, and then the next step is going to be cut off all four corners. Then what we're going to do, the blue diagonals we've already created, we're going to create these new green ones. These new green ones are going to start 1/8 of an inch from that diagonal score line. Okay, so let me show you what I mean by that. I'll put this board off to the side for just a second and I'll grab my box that I've already created. Okay, I have already scored and I have already done 3 of the corners. We're going to do them all the same. I'm going to do this one with you. Okay, so once you do this part, you're going to have this square. Okay, so that's this square right here. Now I'm going to grab my cutting board and my ruler and a straight edge knife something. Here we go. And we're going to whack the corner off. So I'm just going to go from corner to corner and whack that off. This is discarded. Okay, so then what we need to do is, when we look at my diagram here, we're going to create these score lines. Now these score lines are 1/8 of an inch from that center line. So we're going to take a pencil and a ruler and I'm going to find that center score. I'm going to line it up with a 0 and then I'm just going to make a mark at 1 1/8 of an inch. Okay, make sure I did that right. Yeah, 1 1/8 on either side of that center diagonal score. Okay, then I'm going to grab something squishy. So I've got this foam pad that I'm going to use because it's really hard. You can't really line this up in the scoreboard. So you're going to have to do a little bit of MacGyver job here to try to get this lined up. So I have my pencil mark. I'm going to put my scoring tool like right at that corner, line up my ruler to that pencil mark, and I'm going to go to like just past the pencil mark and I'm going to create my score. And don't do it too hard. You don't want to go through the paper. Okay, and then just make your score. Okay, then what you're going to do is we're going to fold our page. So To fold all these scores, fold it in just like this, and then we just accordion those scores. And this will give you this fun new edge for a corner. You might have to tweak it just a little bit, just make sure that your box kind of, you know, stays box-like and the sides measure or line up. And then use your bone folder and kind of burnish that down. What this is going to do is it's going to give you this really cool new fold so that it doesn't go like all the way inside your box. It actually kind of shortens it so it doesn't encroach inside the box as much, okay? And then it gives you that kind of pretty new look to it. So then what we're going to do is cover with the pattern paper. Now you're not going to have to cover the outside of the corners because they're going to be, you know, tucked in when you close your box. You're not going to have to do that, okay? So we're going to cover the insides. Now, I already covered the rest of the box, so you're going to want to do that as well. So at this point, once you've made all your scores and you've done all your folding and everything, that's what you're going to do. So this box is 4 by 4 by 4. So I cut all of these squares at 3 7/8 by 3 7/8. Then what you're going to do is we're going to do a little, I had to do some finagling and some figuring to figure this part out. So what you're going to do to cover these corners here is you're going to cut 2 squares, and these 2 squares are going to measure 3.5 by 3.5, okay? And then the next thing you're going to want to do is cut it in a diagonal. So that's going to give you 2 pieces for your triangle. So you'll just need 2 squares to cover all 4 of those triangles. Then once you do that, let's fold this and get it out of the way so it kind of looks like a triangle. So then you're gonna have a piece of pattern paper that looks like this, and it's going to fit in here just like that. So from the center point, you're gonna cut this in half again. Okay, so you're gonna line this up in your scoreboard and put the point right where the blade goes. Cut it in half on this line, and then measure 1 inch from that edge and then cut it to the point, okay? And that's going to give you these pieces. And I'm just going to line these up and show you. So you'll end up cutting pieces that will look, you know, like that. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So let's go through that one more time. Okay, so you'll have a 3.5 by 3.5 inch square, and you're going to cut it at the diagonal, and that'll be 1 triangle per corner. Okay, so you'll have 2 corners done, so you'll only need 2 squares. Okay, once you get the square cut into the triangle, you're going to cut it in a triangle again. Okay, so if we line these up and pretend they're not even cut, you're going to end up with 2 triangles. Okay, so we'll cut down that middle line again, then measure over 1 inch on either side of that cut line and cut that again. Okay, so then you'll end up with your 4 pieces. Okay, now that is fiddly and it does take time, and especially since I decided to ink everything, it did take quite a little bit of time, but it is pretty worth it once you get it done and get this on, because it just makes it really pretty and it kind of makes the whole thing kind of pop. So then I'm going to just lay these down. I'm going to actually turn it around so I can see it a little bit better, and then just glue those down. Okay, that's all you have to do for this. It really doesn't take a lot of paper, and honestly, when I made this, I used up some scraps, so that was kind of fun too. If you do want to really utilize little bitty teeny tiny scraps, you could make this and use these as patterns, and then just use these to cut out of your little bitty teeny tiny scraps, and it would really you know, be a thrifty project. All right, so again, I did create this to be a December daily, like a super simple December daily, because in the pockets we will have 4 pockets per side of the box, and each pocket will hold 6 cards. So that's 24 cards, and then the middle will be Christmas Day. So the bottom of your box will be Christmas Day. So on the little tags, you can have like one side will be, you know, like one picture. And then the other side could be either another picture, or you could do some journaling on it. However you wanted to do it. We got the box so covered on the inside, and it will fold up nice and neat. And once you work with it a couple times, it folds up a lot easier. So just don't worry about that part, okay? Once you get the folds in, get them nice and burnished, they will fold in nice and easy. So that's what the box is going to look like when it's folded up, okay? And then like that. So next thing we'll need to do, make our accordion pockets. And I have those right here. So I already made 3 of them. We're going to make one together. So you're going to need a piece of paper, and this piece of paper is, because I didn't write it down, I should have, but I didn't. This piece of paper is 8 3/4 by 2.5. So grab your scoreboard and your scoring tool, and what you're going to do is we're going to score this a little bit different. I want the accordions to go the proper way. So we're going to score with the 8 3/4 at the top. I scored at 5, and then at 1.5 and 2.5, and then come over to 6 1/4, 7 1/4, 8 1/4. And then I'm just going to flip it over, okay? Then I'm going to score at 1, at 2, 6 3/4, 7 3/4. What that's going to do is put my scores opposite each other for the diagonals, okay? So when you fold them, like for rosettes, I always do my rosettes, if I'm scoring them every half an inch, you know, to have an inch or half an inch tall rosette, I score so that every other one is on the opposite side of the paper. When you fold it, they fold the way you're supposed to fold with your scores. I hope that makes sense. I really do. When you fold them together, that's when it makes the difference. So I do that. Now, if you don't want to do that, you don't have to, but I do that. So then turn it and score it a half, okay? So again, when you start with the 8 3/4 at the top, I started with half, 1.5, 2.5, 6 1/4, 7 1/4, 8 1/4, and then totally flip it over and then score in between those at 1, at 2, at 6 3/4, and at 7 3/4. Okay, and then a half an inch on one of the long sides for the bottom. And then what you're going to do is take your scissors, and we're going to do a little miter, so across all 5 of those score lines. And then we're going to do it again here to the corner, and then we're going to miter that bottom piece. Okay, so a little bit of a miter on that giant little area there. Then we're going to do some folding. So it'll fold in and out and in and out and then in. And then that should line it up pretty easy, and then the paper goes with the scores. Okay, makes your accordion. So in, out, in, out, in. And it should line up pretty straight. And I'm going to just burnish that down a little bit, and then we're going to have our bottom, fold that up, burnish that, and then we're going to grab some glue. I'm going to put a little spot of glue on each of the accordions. I'm going to fold it over, and then you can use your clip and have your clip help it set for just a second. And then you're just going to have your piece of pattern paper over the top, and that pattern paper, I never grab my ruler the right way. The paper measures 3 and 5/8 by 1 7/8. Okay, I'll put a little bit of glue on that. Okay, take my clips off. I'm gonna flip it over and add my cute little elf to the front of my pocket. All right, you will make 4 of these. And then when you get done making all of your pockets, these are going to go right on the panels on the inside of your box with about 1/8 of an inch border on the sides. So I'm just going to put some glue and glue those down, center those, like so. A little bit of glue. And these will accordion out and they will hold all of our tags, and then there's enough room to where if you know, when you add pictures and stuff, there's going to be enough space. I just think these little guys are so cute. Oh my goodness, they are adorable, just too cute. This is Christmas Cheer by Country Craft Creations, and y'all still have time if you want to go get some, because it's not quite Christmas yet. We still have crafting time, right? And craft clear up to Christmas morning, right? Stay up all night, finish our projects. All right, last one goes here, like so. Here we go. All right, so our little pockets are in, and they're going to hold our tags. Now our tags are pretty basic, so I left them very plain because I'm going to add 2 of them. So I have 4 sets of 6, and I took some scraps of my Artisan cardstock. So I used green, I used Pearl Sheen Natural, and I used red, and made 6 tags for each of the pockets. And when you open up your pockets, you have an accordion piece for each, or for 2 tags. Okay, that gives you plenty of room to move and plenty of room to add things, and each of them will go like that. Okay, so 6 tags per pocket. Okay, I'll put these aside. I will do those later. We need to do the middle part, which is going to be Christmas Day. So for Christmas Day, let me get this out of the way. You're going to need 1 piece of cardstock that's 11 1/4 by 3 3/4, and you're going to score at 3 3/4 and at 7 1/2. And it's just going to give you a trifold. That's all it's going to do. Now I went ahead and made it because it's pretty simple. Here is the paper, and you're just going to fold it for a trifold. Now I'm folding it so that it opens up like this. You can totally do it sideways, it doesn't matter. I used black Artisan cardstock. I covered the front with the pattern paper with this perfect little Santa Claus with the word joy over here and the little puppy in the corner. And then when you open it up, all of these are photo mats, and all of these are adhered so you can tuck a picture behind. So we have Santa Claus here with his list. We have Christmas. We have a Christmas tree, and then we have naughty or nice. So that's how that's going to go. And then we have our piece of seam binding, and that's going to hold the whole thing together and close it. So I'm just going to turn this over, and I'm going to grab some score tape, and I'm going to put some score tape right through the middle. So this is 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. It's going to fit inside this square of the box really nicely. So we're just going to tie that around and do a bow. I've got way more seam binding than I need, but that's okay because I can always trim it and use it for other things, right? All right, so there's that. Grab my scissors, just trim that off. And we have our bottom of our box. So then we haven't decorated anything on the fronts. So, you know, however you want to decide how your you know, which is the front of your box. And we're just going to glue that right to the middle there. And a little bit of that green is going to just kind of peek around and be super cute. Just make sure your seam binding is straight behind, not fold it over. And I'm just going to put some glue on here. And center that. The little peak of green underneath. I just think this is super cute. I just love this idea. So this is going to be Christmas Day. So you have all of your, you know, days 1 through 24 on the sides, Christmas Day in the middle, and you have several different opportunities to put pictures for that. So there's that. And that is your box. So you just add your tags. And again, once you fold this and you play with this a little bit more, it folds together super nice, like so. All right, so then we got to do the lid. So the lid for the extra large box is 6.5 by 6.5, and you're going to take it in your scoreboard and put it in here and score on the lid line on all 4 sides. And then once you do that, we are going to do our pinwheel cuts to make our tabs. Okay, so cut straight up the side and then make little tabs out of the little squares in the corners. Okay, put your pattern paper on the outside completely, and I put pattern paper on the inside top only, and then we need to create the box. So this is the same way that I've made all of the other boxes, so that's why I'm going fairly quickly on this. I've done this so many times that I do have a lot of tutorials on how to make these boxes. They are just so much fun, and I keep coming up with different things to do with them. So I'm just gonna glue the sides up, and then once you glue the sides up, then we can put the pattern paper on the insides. So I'm just adding glue to the tabs. And I can't remember if I mentioned or not, I did ink the edges of all of this paper, so that was all ready to go. That didn't quite get lined up. Okay. All right. Get our next piece here. Okay, now we can add our pieces. So I cut these at 3, no I didn't. I cut them at 4 1/8 by 1, and that will cover, whoops, the inside and outside lids of your box lid. The box inside, or the lid, I should say, the lid inside and outside pattern paper for the actual, you know, square part will be 4 1/8 by 4 1/8. So gorgeous papers. I love the colors. Very Christmassy, very simple. Now, you don't have to do this as a December daily. You can just do this as a photo album as well. I just was like, I don't know. I have a beautiful album made, but I have not done a whole lot with pictures and things like that. So I don't know that I can fill an album. So this is going to be kind of the perfect alternate to doing that. Because you could even, you know, you don't even have to do a picture a day. You could do a little quote. You could just write something. You could save some of the squares and just do things on the days that you actually had something special going on. So, I mean, this has a lot of opportunities, and it's smaller scale, so it's not quite so daunting, I guess, is the word. I'm not sure what word to use, but some years I'm really good, and I do like huge albums, and I have all this stuff, and the albums get so full I can't even close them. And then other years, like, I have nothing. This is one of those years where I don't have a whole lot, so That's that. So the lid will go on the box there. Now, lid decoration. So this is something that I learned from Tammy at Country Craft Creations, and she has done lid pulls where she has an element here with a ribbon that comes out, and you pull that to take the lid off of a box project. So what I did was I took one of the cut aparts from the collection, it's a star shape, cut it out, and then I glued it onto a piece of chipboard. I don't know if you can see that. And then just cut around that star piece, inked the edges, and then in the middle, I set an eyelet to create that hole. Okay, then I had this tinsel trim that I've had in my stash forever and a day, and I glued it to the, or used score tape actually, and put it on the back of the star, so it made that kind of tinsel-y undercoat, I guess. I don't know what to call it. Undercoat, I don't know. Yeah, I'm getting tired. Okay, so then you got the hole here. All that's glued down. Put foam tape on here, and then the next thing you need to do is put your ribbon through here. Now there's a couple different ways you can do it. So I've got seam binding, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw that through that hole, and I'm going to create kind of a pull for my box. All right, and the one thing that I didn't do was put score tape down so that I could actually attach the seam binding to the underside. So you need to do that, okay? So put some seam bind or some score tape down. So once you put your seam binding down, you have somewhere to stick it, like so. And make sure you just have enough so that you can pull it. We're going to add some more stuff to it, and I'm going to try and make sure that it's straight too, because that would be a little more helpful. All right, so make sure I have enough, because I'm going to tie a bow around the base of that, and then I'm going to add another piece of seam binding. And I should have done this before I put the foam tape down. You can obviously tell that, right? All right, and then lay that down. I'm going to trim the ends. Take your foam tape off, and then I'm also going to just add some glue around the edges here, just to kind of make sure that the tinsel stays where it's supposed to stay also. And all of this is going to be stuck right in the middle of our lid. So I'm going to make sure that I got the lid in the orientation that I want it, and take my star piece, center it right in the middle, like so, okay? And then just press that down, and that glue will help everything kind of set. And we have our seam binding attached underneath, and so this will be like a pull for the lid. And then I'm going to take this other piece of seam binding, and I'm just going to tie a pretty little bow around that. Now you can use ribbon, you can use whatever you want. I wanted to use this seam binding. It kind of ties into the black paper. So I'm just going to tie a little bow around the base. Make sure that my little loop is up. Make it as big or as little as you want. And there you go. Kind of like that. Then you can trim your ends, and voila. So then we'll just put our tags in our pockets, and we'll be good to go. And then you can see how these pockets are going to hold quite a bit. So I'm putting 2 pockets in each of the little accordion pieces. When you add your pictures, you're going to have plenty of room. Oh, and I don't know if I told you, these squares here, my goodness, I don't think I told you that, are, I believe, 3.5. Yeah, 3.5 by 3.5. And then I used a corner rounder Did I do that right? I did. I used a corner rounder, which will also help them get in and out of the pockets. Like so. You can alternate the colors. You can do one color per side, however you want to do it. Then we're just going to fold it up. And again, once you actually fold this a couple times, it will get easier. Okay. I found that if I kind of squish the pages in, or the pockets in, it does help the first couple times. And then put our box lid on, and we are good to go. So that is my Explosion Box December daily project. And then when you are ready to open your project and use it, then you take your lid off, and there you go. So that's my project. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned because I have lots more projects coming, and I will see you later. Have a good night. Bye-bye.